G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. I'm David. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and like as many videos as you can on my channel. It helps support the channel and myself as I put these videos together for you. Alright, let's get stuck into this. This is something different. It's a big old Shimpaku Juniper group. It's a very nice old group. Now it comes from one of the Bonsai Northwest members. It just got too big for her and too heavy, and she couldn't lift it anymore. So I was lucky enough to acquire it, and she said she'll watch the video if I ever do it. So here we go. I'm going to do a restyling of this group. It's quite a nice group already. It's got 13 trees for starters, which is great. It's got a lot of age in the character of the bark and so on. There's some real good things to talk about in this group. There's some areas that I want to really try and improve. This side of the group I think is really nice. It's actually really nice amount of trunks. When you front on, you can actually see all the trunks, and it goes from pretty fat to small, so it's pretty good. This side has really nice healthy foliage. The trunks are a bit probably too even, same size, and it probably needs a couple of more smaller ones in this spot here. We'll see that if we need those in the future sometime, we'll consider it. But kind of my biggest issue is in here. There's kind of supposed to be the biggest, tallest tree. It's a little bit lacking in vigor and branches, and also this back one here is quite very heavy and strong, but it's a bit short. So these two trees that probably should be very dominant aren't as dominant as they should be. So either we kind of make these a little bit smaller and get them bigger, and try and reduce a bit of this. So in this case, this tree is probably one of the strongest in the whole composition. So it kind of throws things out of whack a little bit. But luckily the trunks aren't too overwhelmingly large. They're quite all similar sizes, except for this area, which is nice and what do you call it? Nice flow into smaller trunks as you get to the outside of the group, which I really like. There's some nice rocks around. This is really nice position in here. There's a few nice ones in position. This one's a bit loose and this one's a bit loose. But I really like these three especially. And I do like this one in this position. I probably don't like that one in that position. I probably want to end up having it maybe in here with some smaller trees. It would be nice, possibly. And maybe a larger pot, but it's hard to get really large pots these days of any substantial size, larger than that at the moment. Maybe a slab one day if the group starts to look really amazing, get something made up specifically for it. All right, but where do you tackle? What do you do first? What do you tackle first? First, really, you need to have a design in terms of structure. So for me, the structure of the trees. Now, I do like this side, especially these trees, especially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them over here, really nice. The back two aren't too bad. This one's a problem. This one's a problem. But anyway, anything from that way structurally are nice. We need to tweak and so on. But these two structurally are giving me concern. I'm not sure if I need to bring that more forward, straighten it up. It's kind of leaning into that way too much, whereas these are straighter. So structurally, just got to decide what we're going to do structurally with this. So I'm going to try and fix up a few of the structural issues with the tree, mainly this one and this one. Try and see if I can get this a bit smaller in size somehow. It's the most healthiest tree of the whole group. I might have to put some branching in here. I might have to put some of this branching in here structurally to set it all up. And then look at pretty much fine wiring everything. It's all going to be wired. So that's pretty much going to be the hardest bit. It's going to take me many hours to wire this group. So I've got a bit of a nice break at the moment. Finished a lot of the client work, and now it's spring, so it's a bit of pruning, a bit of pinching. So it's not too bad, just mainly watering as the trees get into spring. So I've got some time to get stuck into this. Ideally, I'd wait a little bit more for this, but I think the trees are getting really dense, and I'd like to I don't want to have too much more growth out here this year when it's coming. So if I've reduced the tree a little bit, at least the new growth will be from inside. And I'm not wasting too much energy with the tree. All right, let's get cracking. Quickly, I've actually wired that trunk and guy wired it to the other trunk, so I've straightened that trunk at the back. An update on how I am going with the progression of this group. It's, as I said, mentioned, is the wiring exercise. I've only wired actually these two trees in here, showing you what it looks like fully wired. Now, it's a bit rough, I guess. It's not like I haven't gone to the level of tertiary wiring all the sub branches. I needed this tree to really recover and give me some sort of more structure. But structurally wiring these two trees, this was such a very good heavy growth, lots of growth in it. I had to thin it out quite a bit, and kind of coming back to trying to get some more pads happening. It's slightly taller than the tree behind it, which is what I was trying to achieve. So it gives you that, you know, symmetry of going downwards in this sense, up, and then, you know, we'll see how all this goes. But the two trees have been fully wired, just spaced out, giving it lots of air and lots of light to get through. Very important, trying to get the vigor of the trees back to healthy. Really want to pad those out nicely, but you can probably just see the bit more refinement in those two trees compared to the rest. And that's really all I'm up to. I have to go back a step, do you know what I mean, before I can go forward. I guess the old saying, you know, go back one to move forward two, or whatever it is. You step back. You have to take a backward step when you come to trees like this. Get it back structurally really sound and happy with the structure before you can grow on the branches and build up all the growth again to get it into the shape that I want it to be. So that's where I'm at. Just two trees wide. I'm up to this back. I'm going to do this back one next. It is quite tall. I want to actually have it probably a lot shorter, like in about this height. Probably a little bit shorter than this would be good, but I'm going to struggle getting it a bit shorter than this tree. But I'm going to try to make it a little bit shorter than this. So I've got to really squish all those down. My goal is probably at the moment to make this kind of the top, the apex of the tree. It's it's a really nice position. This, I'm unsure of where it should fit. Would it be a little bit bigger than this, a little bit higher than this tree? Got to wire this out. But I've started on that side because I had a bit more, there's only a few trees really to wire on that side, but it gives you the foundation and base, because I want probably the top of the height of the tree up here, and slowly going into, you know, nice symmetry, streamlined scalene triangle, I guess we'll end up going for. So that's the reason I've gone working on that side first and moving my way over here, and the reason, again, got to go back a step to go forward to eventually. So I'm going to keep wiring. I'll keep giving you updates. One thing I have tried to do, especially with old groups like this, try and keep all the nice tight foliage if you can. The tight foliage has a bit smaller growth, like it's a bit more finer, rather than the sparse. Sometimes you get really long, ugly branches like this. A lot of long ones like this. You don't want to try and keep those. You want to keep more the paddy, nice and tight foliage ones. So that's where I'm at, and we'll keep going. Continuing updating you on this group, how it's going. I've pretty much wired everything from there onwards. You can probably see a bit more definition now, a bit more, you know, refinement in the work. You probably now see that this tree here is actually the highest. That's the one towards the back. It's this trunk in here that is now the tallest. And I'll continue to actually build that up. It sits about here. This one sits a bit lower. There's one at the back a bit there. This one's dropped down quite a bit, which is good. Gives you that symmetry. Now, see how these are a bit too high now? Got to wire them down. I've wired the ones at the back just to fill in the spaces at the back. There's a small one right at the back over here, and there's this one. There's a couple of small ones in here that are giving just some depth. Unfortunately, with this tree in here, this one here, it's actually not the healthiest, so I'm going to try and get that recuperating and healthy again. And needs to fill out and fill in. There's a bit of a gap in here. Nice to fill this in here. But now I'm walking towards the right of the tree. I've got about 5 trunks to do. I like the movement. Maybe I'll accentuate the movement a bit more on this side. Try and make sure this looks quite small, and just try and work these down a bit more. And you can see how the movement's starting to happen a bit more in that direction. So yeah, as I said, it's purely wiring, but you've got to go through it tree by tree. I pretty much wire the tree and then try and place the branches. So It's really tricky, especially the ones in the middle, like inside there, were really hard to get. In these ones in here were really hard to try and position, but I think I got there in the end. Yeah, so just continue working away, work on the 3 big ones, and then the 2 small ones. Should be easy. All right, let's see what it looks like at the end. All right, so here's how the tree ended up. The group ended up. Looks pretty good, I think. Has much more dimension and much more clarity in all its lines. There's a lot of work still to do cleaning up underneath, but I didn't want to go overboard in terms of cleaning up the foliage. Just needs time for this group to really come back strong. This area looks quite good on the camera. It's nicely thinned out, styled out. There wasn't as much foliage as this side, so that's probably why this side looks a bit more thicker. It's because there's a lot of foliage here. I could thin out a bit more on this side, but I think it's really good and strong. I shouldn't really touch it too much. I really thinned out as much as I needed to. But overall, nice, much more refined. You can see almost 2 distinct groups. Like you can see one in here and then one over here. So that's the bigger side. So going down into that nice scaling kind of triangular look, giving that nice forest group setting. So give you a spin around. Hopefully it doesn't hit the backings. So all dimensions are pretty much covered. All trees are fully wide. And you can see the difference in how really thick that side is. Maybe eventually I'll thin it out a bit more. Next year I'll repot. I won't repot this year. It's a bit late anyway. But yeah, definitely going to repot. I like the rocks. Some of these rocks, these 3 especially, these ones here are really good. I don't like this one. I might have to find a spot over that way. This is okay, but it's loose. So I wouldn't mind burying it and really, like these are buried and they're nice and solid. I like that feeling. Like I want them to be actually part of the group, not just hanging loose like this. So I'm going to have to figure out burying that and burying this somewhere, or just having that and not that. We'll see. But that's a small feature, small issue. Nothing too crazy. So really coming back to the points of this, I fixed up a couple of the trunks where they should have been. Now that's the main center one, the tallest, strongest, biggest, and then trying to create 2 groups but blended into one group, all purely wiring. So really it's thinking what you want to try and achieve in your head, and then wiring the tree and putting branches in the right places. I'll probably spend a bit more time on it, cleaning it up, but I really wanted to finish off this video and post it up because there's probably at least, I don't know how many hours of wiring there. There's a lot of wiring there. I didn't count, but a couple of days full schedule of wiring, maybe 12 hours, maybe about 15 hours, I'm not sure. It was a lot of wiring and positioning and trying to bend things and put things in place and trying to decide on what I want to do and how I want to go about it. But guys, I hope you enjoyed that video and hope the previous owner can have a look what her group looks like now, and if she's happy with it too. I mean, yeah, I like it. I think it'll be a good group in the future with clear defined lines. Maybe grow this a little bit bigger, just a little bit, getting it a bit more focal point of the group, and everything else looks good. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.